This is my first YouTube project where I'm studying myself for a year. I really enjoy this for me because I like doing experiments on myself. The way that I'm going to follow the months is more on the zodiac patterns rather than the traditional month-to-month patterns. So to start my year with the Capricorn season, I was trying to be more mindful about like the Capricorn archetype itself. So I wrote down like opportunistic, ambitious, materialistic, power and presence, freedom. Like the end goal of Capricorns is freedom. Huge symbolisms of integrity. To live integral is very big. Determination isn't measured by playing the crowd, and you can lose sight if you get lost in it. The Capricorn energy I embodied heavily is mastering self in solitude. That is literally my essence of what I think Capricorn is, like, because every Capricorn I've ever met, you just see how like determined and hardworking they are, and you just don't know where that really like stems from unless you know. Now I understand like Capricorn is a little bit better. Another thing is finding practical support for self-sufficiency. I feel like that goes along with like their essence of freedom. Self-sufficient is their freedom. Capricorn is in my 4th house. It makes so much sense. I've said this in my like planets edition video. I do resonate with Capricorn energy when it comes to how I organize my thoughts. I took this opportunity to master myself in solitude, especially considering how last year I was so like, I craved so much to be around other people, but I wasn't fitting in with like who my current circumstances were. But so in that regard, I felt alone in a different way. This year I embodied being alone by like filling my time with stuff I really wanted to accomplish. Set my like year so determined, so like this time. Last year was an essence of trying to figure out who I was. Now this year is just my year of like structuring all of that, and I'm really excited that that's why Capricorn was the first to start this. Another thing I wrote was actual behavior reflects intentions, not emotions, has instinctive practicality. Much like a Capricorn just knows to get stuff done. Like, I appreciate that because like I've been working on emotions for so much of my life that now that I feel like I want to embody more of like a intellectual standpoint for some decisions, it's really cool to know that this is just how it also is reflected. What did I accomplish this month or this season? I would say that this affected my 4th house greatly, like in the way that I want to continue to organize my brain for the rest of the year. And just like, honestly, I don't want to say for the rest of life, actually. I don't want to talk about finalities anymore, especially when it comes to time limits, so excuse that. What it affected a lot was I made a bingo board full of goals. I saw this based on TikTok. I opened my Canva right away, made it right at like the dentist. Yes, I really want to do something like this. I think it'd be really cute. I was goal setting steps on how to accomplish them in my notebooks. Like, I wrote the splits is something I want to accomplish, so I wrote beside it, feel out stretches more deep and long each day, consistently prioritize slow movements to increase and relieve flow. That's all I wrote to get to the goal. And none of my goals have a time limit. Like, these are stuff I want to see myself accomplish this year. Also, if I don't, I'm not too hard on myself, but I also have a drive to accomplish these things. A year is so long, so that's why I'm never gonna think a lot of things are running out of time unless I'm literally seeing it run out of time. With my car, because I wrote that I'm gonna be buying a car this year, right? And so I wrote use my other Coho account as savings for car, put $10 into account every time I make a bill, because my payment, the way I get paid is it's so random, like literally so random, because every time I hit like that mark that I'm eligible to take money out of OnlyFans, I just take it out right away. So I get paid like so sporadically. Every time I reach like 100, I actually started transferring 11 each bill. Your girl's at her first 100 in savings. I know that might not seem crazy, but for me and just where I've just been throughout this like past 2 years financially, for me even to take a stance on saving for a car is really nice, because I just kept having it in my head, like after I lost Odette, I'm obviously never gonna finance again. Probably it's gonna be hard for me to finance, but not because of that, but because like I just really want to save up for my car. I'm so used to instant gratification when it comes to every transaction I had to fill that like need on the inside. And now that I don't feel like I need those things anymore and just things in general, now I'm like, I can relax on saving up for a car. Now I want to be patient in saving up for a car. I'm excited about the progress to even do it. Once I reach a certain amount, for me to like start looking for it. I'm being responsible this time. Like my goal is to save up 10K, right? Not even use the full 10K for the car because I want to have the money to be prepared to pay for my insurance first and last month, anything in between. And I also want to pay Allstate back because I'm like, is in creditors right now because I owe them. So I want to pay off that insurance first and then start a new insurance, be prepared for that, and have the car all ready to go within the 10K limit. I'm excited to do that because when my grandpa had bought me a car when I was still in Calgary, like 5 years ago, he gave me a limit of 10K, and then we got a car for 7, and then he helped me with insurance. So that's why I have that in my brain that I want to do that again, because I thought it was a really cute idea. The bingo board and the goal setting was really nice. And then another thing I was doing when it came to like my self-care, self-nourishment, was I was being more consistent with hair care. So I have like a hair oil that I use like every 3 days, the Go Lab Beauty. I have been starting coconut pulling as well. Ever since I got sick, I started getting a little inconsistent with it, but I'm redoing that again. But honestly, it's still no pressure, still no rush. Like I plan to have this as part of my life, so it's okay if a few days is like, you know. My shadow work with therapy, I've had a lot of great therapy sessions during this Capricorn time, seeing things from other perspectives, not make myself so burnt out in my head. Like I overthink a lot. There's a lot of things that I could learn how to avoid, and that's what I'm learning through therapy, which is great. One of the biggest things that I learned in this period was boundaries. My therapist gave me an example where I already talked about this in my therapy video previously, in my all or nothing mentality. Boundaries in terms of if you want someone to stay in your life or not. Like if you don't see them long term, then why are you having like expectations of them? Just drop the expectations. I think that was actually, it's not really so much boundaries that was keyword, it was expectations. Because if I'm not seeing you as someone in my life long term, then I literally won't have any expectations of you, right? It just makes sense. Because if I am, then it's just so much pressure on both of us, and we don't want that. We got time for that. There's just a lot that I got to do, like change the narrative of how I viewed the past too. Redirection. Like every time I would have thoughts of people of the past, I would think of like sad or bad memories, but now I wanted to just simply just say I wish them well and just have no more thoughts after that. Just like a wish you well thought bubble. That's something I visualize when thoughts leave my head, like thought bubbles. Yeah. I've organized my passions into my weekly routine, literally of every day of the week, and then based on like planetary energies also. On Mondays, on moon days, I use that day as a reflection day to prep myself for the week and like to review how last week went, go over my finances, and when I say that, it's just to simply like really look at them. Because back then when I had a bad relationship with money, like I wouldn't even look at my bank. Like I would do some damage and just like, which is really bad. So now I just want to review and be like, okay, not be stingy and be like, okay, this is what you're cutting out. It's more of like, okay, this is where you spent your money this time. Sweet, good to know. Having that kind of no pressure for me is so much more helpful than how I used to think when I tried to start budgeting stuff. I used to be super hard on myself after realizing like my spending habits, but that only ended up actually keeping me in a bad cycle, because I would feel guilty, and then when the guilt wore off, like, and then I wanted to make myself feel better, I would buy, and it was just like an endless cycle of this. A lot of my leisure money is going towards weed, events I choose to go out in, and like the Ubers I would spend to get there. January hasn't been as eventful as my December was. I've been saving a lot when it comes to that, which is sweet. I'm okay with that too, because I'm realizing if I'm not like invited anywhere, or if I'm not really specifically called to go anywhere, then I just won't. Because December also was that, like I kept kind of forcing myself to do certain things just to kind of like see how I'd be for some reason. I guess I learned from that. Now I don't want to do stuff like that. My Fridays, I like to take a lot of pictures for my social medias and my OnlyFans that day. just do like a mass content day, because before I used to do it so randomly, sporadically, like every 2 days I would just take pictures, and that kind of sounds exhausting. Like it helped with creativity because it kind of like forced me to be different than my 2 days prior, but that's a lot. Like now that I just single it to just one day of taking pics and just doing multiple different sets, like that's better. Recently I got myself sick, and I got to actually learn about myself during that time too, because the last time I got sick was 2 years ago, and back then like I called friends to try to help me to go to the doctors, because honestly I felt like I couldn't move. Like it was like an intense fever, bad thoughts in my head. I just kept saying I'm gonna die. I can't see myself getting out of that. So seeing how I was back then versus how I was now, and seeing myself through the sickness, I was more like, okay, it's because I just seriously need to rest. Like this is a moment, this is a big opportunity for me to just lay here, just watch a movie, just rest. And it was honestly hard for me to relax. Okay, there's a lot of moments where I force myself to crochet, because in my head I'm actually selling this blanket and I have like a deadline that I want to get, but I don't want to. But doing that has made me like kind of rush my crocheting. Like I don't find it fun. So I think every time I'm forcing myself to crochet, a bundle of yarn just gets stuck, because that happened last night. Like I didn't really feel like crocheting, but I was making myself do it, and then all of a sudden it was stuck. I'm just gonna really know what's resisting me right now and what I'm attracted towards, and go with that flow. Finish off something awesome I did this Capricorn season was I went to a listening party of a local artist named Chemist, and it's in my last video. It's really cute, and I went there alone. I know of the artist, so that was just nice to see like the behind the scenes of that. But my crochet teacher was also going there, and he told me about the event, so that was the only person I knew. At first I was really awkward. Like I bought myself a beer and just sat at the bar, and I was just like meh. And then I tried to talk to the bartender, and it just like didn't really go anywhere, and it got awkward. So I was like, I got in my head about it. But then when I saw my crochet teacher, I felt a little bit more like, okay, I could be here. I ended up making friends by the end of the night, which was really, really nice, because it was cute. It was cute to be around people. It was cute to be introduced to other people. Like it was a long time since I really felt like that kind of energy. We'll see how that goes. Something through therapy that I just learned in my last lesson was not to have, like, when I'm going to these places, what am I intending to like get out of these places, you know? Like, you know, if it is being friends, then I should learn how to like be a little bit more open, because as much as I feel like me going to the events is enough, I do go to these events because I'm so shy and so in my head. I look a little like closed off and hard to talk to. I do know that. I do know I come off like that, like hard to talk to. A person I met, they said that they wanted to compliment me, but like I looked very in my own world and not wanted to be bothered. That is how I look. That is how I look, because I'm too closed off in my energy. But now when I go to these things alone, I'm gonna like say my intentions out loud. If it's friends that I'm trying to be more open to having, then I want to like come off more friendlier, you know? And if it's more that I want to just experience what it is, and it could be just that too, because there could be things I want to really experience alone. I have to just really be intentional with what I want, because it's true, like like I do things and I just want to see what happens out of it, which is not good, because it leaves a lot of things that I'm wishing could have happened instead if I just was more intentional with what I was like doing, which is awesome. It's just fun to really like see how other archetypes are, because when I see it in my interactions with people, like I definitely am the type of person to ask for your whole zodiac if I could, but I will ask for your sun sign for sure. Like it'll be a bonus if you know your rising. I'll be like, will get really nervous when I ask, because it's like prejudging. But for me, how I view it is like, okay, this is how I'm gonna like approach this, and if this is your response, this is why I know, because your ulterior motive based on your archetype is this. But I don't like hold people to those things either. It's just like thoughts that come in my head, if they're confirmed or not, based on people I meet. It always, and it could change for other people, but when I find like commonalities, I'm like, oh, it's so cool. No, there's better lighting if I just put the camera another way. or if I have my ring light right here, but I'm really comfy in this spot, to be honest. So I'm just gonna begin. This Aquarius season has been really awesome because Aquarius is in my 5th house, and that's a sign of inner child. So I wanted to center that energy towards my inner child, and I popped off. I thought that Capricorn season was really fulfilling for me in redirecting it to just my 4th house because that's where it's at. This was a whole other level. Not only did I just tend to my inner child in terms of like I had a newfound love for ice cream. Like I have to always have ice cream in the freezer. I have it almost every night. Whenever I do have it, I have it like a third of the pint at a time. Love it. Love ice cream. Forgot about that. But to reconnect even more, I started to write stories. Like I've had this idea to write a story ever since I was young, but slowly I started having ideas about it towards like in a little bit in high school, and then now it's coming to like a whole fruition idea, and I just wanted to know where it started. So I took a class on how to even start writing stories, just to have that inspiration of like putting it into my routine. I fit into my routine, changed my routine to appease my inner child first thing. Tried to do my passions and hobbies in between my work time. I would like do work for an hour and then inner child stuff for an hour, and I thought that was balanced enough, but then I was like, no, I really need to just focus to give myself that actual time. My morning routine itself is 3 hours, and then so I normally finish my morning routine around like 9, and then I like to start work at 12. That's when I open my laptop and start working. But in between then, I now fill my time with other inner child passions. So now I fill my time in between that with reading a chapter. That is part of my morning routine too, but I do want to say it's part of my inner child tending to, because I loved reading as a child. My dad liked when we would write summaries of the books we read, and then he would give us like money for it. So, but then that habit itself stuck with me, like just to always remember a summary of my books and stuff, and I'm going back into that again. Drawing, I never really got into drawing itself growing up because I have a cousin who was really artistic, and I just felt very like low, so I never tried. But to even try now is so nice. Like look at it. And we're coming from a place where I never drew before. Also, do you see how colorful my book is? Like I remember growing up like in junior high and a little bit in elementary, I like to color my notes because it just made it more fun and easier to read for me, because I hate like really routine stuff. Look at my little drawings. I'm really proud of this tree, to be honest. This tree surprised me. I was like, okay. And the leaf, practicing. That was my first time ever drawing a leaf, but then I know now that it might be a little bit easier if I had a pencil. So I'm gonna include a pencil in my next shopping list. I tried to buy it on Amazon, but then my card got declined, but I have money for it. So I was like, is that a sign I'm just not supposed to get it right now? Got into that. I started just writing lots of things that came into my mind, lots of song lyrics that came into my mind, poems. Like I wrote haikus for some of my drawings to like connect with it, and ever since I just like had the thought of drawing, I'm not continuing the drawing right now because now I'm really into the story, which was my main reason for getting into drawing in the first place. So I'm still like on that same vibe, but just now expansive on it. But I do want to get into drawing more. Oh my gosh, see, so many things. I'm painting a box right now. I'm still crocheting blankets. I started a new crocheting blanket, and I've also came up with a plan that I'm still gonna make blankets. This is gonna be my thing 100%. I think I'm gonna stick with the Bible project as an ongoing creative thing for me, because I love the thought of putting my crochet blanket in a box I painted with other stuff. I fucking love it. I'm really proud of that. And I'm also making a cardigan out of it too. Now I'm also making a top as a side project because I accidentally forgot to bring my yarn with me to the last crocheting session. So I bought like another piece of yarn, and I'm working on that for another project. So I'm doing 3 different crochet projects at once. I just started crocheting not that long ago. I don't know. Who am I racing? I don't know. So fun. I like all the fun I like all the fun I'm having. I'm literally thinking about this video, and I'm like, do I even want to clip any of this, or do I just want to capture all the excitement? Because I want y'all to feel what I'm truly feeling. Like I am so fucking excited to live. I'm so fucking excited for every day. I'm so grateful for every day. Like, the shift that happened in my head ever since changing that morning routine, game changer. Ever since like making my inner child shine, it's like default optimism now. Like, I thought I was like that before, but now I feel it. Before it was just like I really wanted to believe in it, and now I really feel it, and I really embody it, and it's just, I'm so happy. I really got into it in my first clip about this Aquarius season and what it's done for me, and I forgot to even mention what I want to embody in this Aquarius season. I didn't even mention that. I was just like, Aquarius is in my 5th house, blah. But let me get into Aquarius first. I'm gonna put this in the beginning. Oh my gosh. You have birth to human freedom. That's why they're just like the in-between like a water sign, air sign. It's just like where you're bringing all your nurturing and stuff into like ideas type of thing. It's like, that's how I see it. You express your individuality more. Your ability to choose your own path is now. That's why I like to think of Aquariuses as like detached humanitarians, because it's like they do what they gotta do to reach that end goal that's best for everyone. It's just the non-conformity and just owning your personal truth, that's embodying Aquarius energy heavy. That's why they come up very like, I got this, where they can handle a lot, and usually they are in positions to be in very like hard spaces where they do have to handle a lot. The question of this is, are you in any position where others can compromise your vision? So thinking of that question is how I wanted to lead into this Aquarius season. And I just want to say there was no one who was able to shake my vision during this time, because I have put myself, and with so much help of therapy during this season, of like where my rumination process is and where I can redirect things and like just be the thermostat of the room instead of the thermometer, where I can control the temperature and not just observe and just be in the temperature. If I can feel some type of conversation going a negative way, I can try to push it the other way if I want to, or if not, I just simply walk away and just leave it to be what it is. In this season, I have truly come to the acceptance of accepting everyone for where they are and accepting myself for where I am, and just trying to be within the two realities. This inspiration has been another light towards all my other passions, because now I'm understanding the why of everything I'm doing, down to like even my hobbies that I do, right? Like, why do I crochet? It's really good for me when I'm anxious, and plus I'm creating something when I'm in that state. Like, imagine taking like my anger, my frustration, my like and turning it into a blanket. This season, I brought myself out to events again alone. This time I didn't handle it like I had before, where in one instance I cried in the washroom for like half an hour before I got out. This time, with therapy too, she's been helping me say like really be my intentions, because when I go to these events now, I'm saying my intentions in the car. I'm like, I am going to make new friends, I am going to make new connections, I'm here for a reason, I am here to expand, I'm here to learn. Like, I say all these things, and then when I find myself in like wanting to go into like an isolation mode, I repeat those affirmations, and I'm like, no, I'm here. The last event I went to alone, I talked to everyone like that was around me. I kept talking all night. I made myself, if I didn't just feel good with one conversation, I just moved on to like the next person who was beside me and start a conversation there. I never seen myself do that in a very long time, elementary long time. It was so cool to see me navigate like a crowd like that, you know. And even in the one event, I had like a moment to spotlight my blanket, and like old me would be like all sitting down and be like, hey guys, this is my blanket. But I literally like jumped up, stood up, waved my blanket around, and then people were interested and came over to ask me more about the blanket after. I feel different from the shift between Capricorn season to Aquarius season. Wow. One thing I did really get about was I spoke up for my inner child as well. Like, old me would try to like keep things really buried until I was in a position to just leave it. Like, I would try to ghost the situation, abandon it, and not really speak my truth. Close my throat chakra all the time and just kept going as is. But when I finally took myself out of that comfort zone and really did it, the relief I felt literally felt like a waterfall of just emotions just being able to flow freely. because I just started feeling so congested in my chest for weeks before I was able to say anything. Now I know what it physically feels like to do that and really be aware of that. And when I know I'm holding things in too much is literally when I feel it in my chest, where I'm like, Aquarius season, Aquarius season. A fucking network tower, just absorbing so many things from different perspectives and just while like fueling my own power inside type of thing. Fuck, what a great season. What a great season. Okay, I realized how far behind I am in doing these vlogs. I really wanted to stay as consistent as possible because I know I can get forgetful, and then sometimes when I'm in that forgetful state, I kind of just would ditch the project altogether. But then I really thought about it and I was like, no, I really want to do this. I really do. So I'm doing the recap of Pisces season in Gemini season right now. Oh my god, I know. After Pisces season, things were hectic. I didn't feel comfy recording at the house I was staying at originally when I made this video. I wasn't comfy making videos there anymore. So then during like Aries, especially during Aries season, there was a lot of big changes that happened there. And then Aries to Taurus, I was like in transition of leaving. That's specifically why I didn't feel like recording, and I felt like I was having other projects to record other things, so this was kind of on the back burner. But now that I'm in a really stable place, I feel like, okay, let's just get on with the catch up, so that way I can conclude my Gemini season in a different area too, because I liked the thought of actually doing it per month. So let's get right into what I learned in Pisces season. Pisces is in my 6th house. 6th house is like the relationship with self, and I truly think that's super beautiful, especially how I've taken on spirituality in itself. So to have a spiritual relationship with myself is something I've been cultivating like without knowing this for a very long time. So now to actually have it clear focus, let's see what I learned. In the book The Inner Sky by Stephen Forrest, I quote a lot of his things. I actually take the inspiration of the archetypes and what each sign is meant to be teaching, or all that stuff, the shadow, the resources, the endpoint, like all of that is from his book. I truly recommend it if you're into astrology, if you're getting into it. I'm learning a lot and I still look back on it. I might even buy another copy because the one I originally have is not with me right now, and it's just such a good reference book. He said Pisces, and an explanation is we experience an awareness of the world that taps into your mysticism, the consciousness, the whole inner world. This is when it's free play of imagination, creation. During this time, these are some things I got to accomplish and understand about myself. I've been waking up a little bit earlier. Let me pull my laptop so I don't have to keep like stretching to look. But I've been waking up earlier during this time. I've been starting my work after I do my creative expressions in the mornings. I draw what I see, journaling and filling out that planner really well, because that planner also includes more like awareness questions, journal prompts, so I work on those as well during that time. I crochet a little bit. And I don't put any time limits on all these things. I just really let myself feel it out the whole way until I'm done with it. Creativity does just not flow with time at all. Like you can have unlimited ideas and you can go for hours, or you can have those quick short spurts where you're like, it just slowly gets you to your end point a little bit close. Pushing my work time start way later, like I pushed it down to 12 p.m. earlier in the year, and now I'm pushing it down to like 4 p.m. It's just not a high priority for me to be on it like that right now. I'm slowly trying to integrate more day breaks within the week, because I could, without fully intending to change, I could work hours straight on the things I'm doing. It burns me. It burns me out fast. It burns me out really fast when I do that. So I'm really trying to implement more breaks during this. I did a crochet challenge that's new. I tried to make a shirt. The shirt was really cute. She was very loose, but I'm so happy I tried to make it just by looking at a picture. I didn't even measure myself with measuring tape. I didn't look for the the crochet plan. Well, not plan, but the pattern. I didn't look for the pattern. I just simply looked at it and I was like, let me just figure this out. I'm glad I attempted it like that. I finally finished reading a book. Reading was my thing, like when I was younger. It really was. I've shamed myself all these years for not reading. It was one of my favorite hobbies ever, and then when I just don't read, I know I'm not just as connected to my little inner child when I don't read as much. Finishing a book, and especially olden English, you know, Tale of Two Cities book, it was great. I read like not even a full chapter, but a sub chapter each day, and that only was like 3 to 4, like it ranged from like 3 to 10 pages, and that was it. The slow and steady thing actually helped me finish the book, because it did. When I would overwhelm myself by like thinking, oh, what if I just read for an hour, that does not really work well for me, especially when it comes to reading, because my mind pops off. I'm not actually like doing something, imagination mode. So reading is actually a little bit hard for me to do. Timed limits for reading does not work for me at all. Like I could read like 1 page in an hour because I just have to keep refocusing. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna get like a certain amount done, and that's just that. In this time I actually got a library card too. That part excited me too. It's the last time I've been in a public library and used its services was junior high, because I needed a place to go that wasn't home. I took out books at the time too, so I guess I can't say I didn't fully use it, but yeah, I haven't used it since I was in junior high, and now here I am with the library card again, going to libraries to do some work. It's not like my go-to right now because libraries are too quiet for me. I like that it's just another place I get to go during this. I've been definitely sleeping and napping a lot more during this time. I don't know, as soon as I tapped into that Piscean energy, I just really allowed my full intuition to guide me. That really showed how tired I have been, and I haven't been resting. There's been a lot of moments where, even before this season, where I'd be tired, but I would just like make myself stay up because I'm like, oh, I don't sleep well anyways at the night, so what if I make myself more tired during the day? I don't know, it's horrible. I'm glad I'm sleeping a lot more now. My self-love amplified. My self-talk has definitely lightened and has been more loving. I've heightened my spiritual cleanses with incense, affirmations, salt baths. Those are some things I started slowly implementing. Because I have a free month still, thanks to Heightens, for Skillshare, I really wanted to try to have myself inspired on how to start a story and how to stay consistent on writing a story, because for me, I was like, oh, it seems kind of easy to just have a story, but then I was like, no, I bet they do teach these classes somewhere. So I looked, and then there's Skillshare. I saw this one course called Story Walking. It was only like a 5-minute class, how to story walk, which is have an idea or a question in your head, no music, no nothing, but get really comfy in your walk out loud to yourself, and then just continue walking, and then come up with all these scenarios, and instead of limiting yourself, just expand on them each and see if there's anything that pulls you towards something more. And it was really fun. It helped me on how to start my story, that was for sure. I was so stumped. I have a perfect, or no, I'm not gonna say perfect, I have a really cute idea of my story, and this is really interesting what I want to do with it. So I have a short story planned. What originally this idea stemmed from was a novel in itself. Like I wanted to create a whole dystopian world type novel. For now, I was like, I want to kind of, that's a commitment project, you know. That's when I want to be like on a vacation month long. I can finally focus, like be outside my scenarios and dive into that kind of world fully. The idea is just stuck in there. For now, what can I shorten it to? And something I want to create is a children's book and a short story. Also watched a short story class on how to do one. It was cool. So I want to make this particular story that I'm working on a short story first. Kind of want to like create a children's book version of it, and then in a grand scheme of things, be it my novel. It's really, really exciting. But the short story has a more realistic take because it's a little bit inspired based on my life, how I viewed a version of what it could have been when I was younger. It's so sentimental to me. I'm really excited to have this project go. I'm really glad that I feel inspired to do it now. Even throughout the week too, I've scheduled other creative projects, so it's just not all overwhelming because I want to do so many different things. I was like, okay, let's just time it so I'm not just like, oh, I need to do this, oh, I need to do that. I'm like, no, this is for Monday, this is for Wednesday. My peace and solo time has been a huge prioritization. I'm really thankful to have spent the time with the little one and the person I'm staying with. However, like, I feel because I haven't had my own room during this time, my own space and boundary doesn't feel like as a physical thing, so I have to really make it like a mental thing and take care of only my own thoughts and feelings, because there has been lots of moments where I feel like I'm absorbing the house's energy. This gets a little bit overwhelming for me. The spider. Thank you, Chum Chum. My senses of claircognizance and clairsentience has heightened. My intuition feels more tapped in. My relationship with it feels more natural every day. I trust myself a lot more now, and it's so beautiful, so beautiful. I feel the internal shift. Like, I can trust myself and my decisions. My emotional regulation has been the best it's been ever that I've ever really experienced it. Seeing myself come into that kind of control is really nice, to the point where, you know, I got the notice that I'm leaving a month from now, and it didn't really send me into a spiral like it could have before. My reaction to it just feels, I'm just like, oh, okay, I understand. Like, I think the understanding of the emotions that do come up for me, understanding other people's emotions is a lot better. There was a note that I learned about body magic. When you imagine your manifestation actually coming to you, how do you actually feel? Like, of course, joy and excited. So of course you want to feel those things. So having those excited feelings, like just even receiving small things, feel those things as if it were your big manifestations too, like, so you can continuously remind yourself of those feelings. So for me, alongside excitement, of course, I would feel accomplished and relieved. Those are the feelings I feel when I receive my manifestations, like, or how I imagine I would feel. I do feel like it would be like that. Whenever I do get my blessings and stuff, there's been so many points, even up till this point, 4 months later, that there's a part of me that always feels like there's something worse to come. So I always have to be prepared for the next thing. Because I've been prepared for the next thing for so long, that even comes with my blessing. Of course, I say I'm happy about them. I'm really grateful for them. I do embody like being in them. I am grateful for this place, but I caught myself today specifically. When am I gonna experience what that big picture I truly want? Like, I'm still waiting for the next thing, and I feel that even though I am living in my embodied manifestation right now. So it's interesting to know. And that was Pisces season. I decided to actually wrap this up and decided that I'm gonna do the postings per season. If I did all 12 zodiacs in all one video, I think it's gonna be over an hour, and that much editing. I know I could start editing now and stuff and do that, but I think it's best if I do it per season, because it's cute, because then we could go through the modes, and then I can really see like the cardinal, the fixed, the mutable, the way that energy flows per season. I'm gonna wrap that up. This has been my winter, and here's my little gist about my winter recap. During winter was a true hibernation mode for me, because it was my first time taking everything into myself. I became celibate for the first time ever, fully actually wanting to be celibate, choosing myself throughout this whole winter time. During Capricorn season, really finding what I like doing by myself, trying to own my solitude, following that mastery in solitude, just really, what do I like about what I'm doing and what can I continuously work on to become more great. That's how I was embodying Capricorn. Going into Aquarius, Aquarius was in my is in my fifth house, so that was more self-expression. Capricorn was part of my fourth house, so that's more of like the nadir, my thinking, my ways of processing, and then tapping into like my fifth house, Aquarius, where I'm now putting all those things into a more like, how can I use these things to help other people but also have it be a self-expression moment. Hearing, oh, that's so great, maybe I should do that. Like when I was crocheting at cafes, people would ask me about it and then they would tell me a little bit about their creative projects and I would kind of boost them on that. So it felt like an overall thing, like what I was doing to help myself was helping others. Pisces season, Pisces was in my sixth house, is in my sixth house. That's relationship with myself. So this was like hibernation season with a full focus of my internal and grounding of that, and seeing like the Capricorn earth, Aquarius air, and then Pisces water, just like that whole like grounding, intellect, emotion. And it was just the emotions with myself and learning about how to bring all that self-love, because now I was taking all the things that I was learning in my self-love solitude, how to bring it to the collective. Now I was like, how can I really make this fulfilling for me? So this is when I changed like my routine to make it more creative, more loving, more just be in that intuitive subconscious space. I really wanted to dive deep into like the Pisces energy for the relationship for myself, because you know, coming out of like the hardness of Aquarius and Capricorn energy, because they're ruled by Saturn, like that hardness down into like Pisces, where it's just like that dreamier state, that like the inner world, was really cool. Focus on it like that is really cool. I love that this is a project for me. Even if it's not as exciting for y'all, this is a huge excitement for me and anyone who is studying astrology within themselves. Like, I hope this gives you like insight on how you can like dive deep more into astrology within your own life, or you know, if you just like hearing about other people's stories about astrology, because I personally do. Like when people come into their own revelations and add an astrology thing to it, I love it. I love it. These are for those baddies out there. I'm hoping it'll attract my astrology lovers to me. This project in itself, first I came up with this project in Capricorn like energy, where I was just like, how can I make this like amazing in silence? Oh, record everything. Anyways, I really appreciate your time in watching a video like this. This type of video really brings me joy. Astrology really brings me joy, and just studying patterns of life bring me joy. I'll be posting spring season really soon. Since we're almost heading into summer season next month. Thank you so much.